Well, it's time for us to knock some of these literal door stoppers off our TBRs. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, I want to share my potential selections for the March of the Mammoths readathon event coming up in March. For those who don't know what this readathon is, I'll leave a link to Jason's announcement video down below. His channel is Blues Chapter and Verse, and the March of the Mammoths readathon event is all about reading really giant books, reading at least one of them. Just get it like off our shelves and our TBR and everything. And I think the only real requirement for participating in the readathon is to read any kind of book that's 800 pages or more. And this has been going on for a couple of years now. I remember I participated 4 years ago, if I remember correctly. I think I read Napoleon here, and I think a silly Brandon Sanderson book back in the days when I read fantasy and stuff. And it was, I don't know if, I can't remember if it was a lot of fun. The Brandon Sanderson, never mind. To go watch my review videos to hear my opinions on that. But like the Napoleon book was actually pretty good and stuff. But anyways, like I said, 800 plus pages in a single book, any genre, anything like that. And I actually don't have that many. I think I went through like everything like I owned. And for books that I haven't like finished, I think I only had like 10-ish, kind of in that ballpark range, that actually hit the requirement of 800 pages. And you know, woe to me, there was not a single nature book, no science or nature book that I have that's 800 pages. I think there might have been a couple field guides or kind of like technical reference books, maybe, that were like in that ballpark, but they're not really like, you know, meant to be just like read. They're not like books per se. So I was stuck with my history, which is fine. I like history. But woe to me again. The only ones that I have, except like there was like two. I think my Herodotus here was like 1,000, and then some of my Will and Ariel Durant's like Story of Civilization books. I think there's like 3 or 4 that are 800 pages or more. Everything else is all like modern-ish history, which, you know, it's just unfortunate for me, because it's just like I don't know, I don't want to say like it is like my least favorite like era to read about per se, but it is something I want to do. So anyways, enough rambling on and on and on. I'm going to give you guys 3 selections. I want to read at least one of them during the month of March here, if that's 800 pages or more. And there is a couple other cool things coming up. Like I said, I still got to do my Historathon 2024 stuff. Probably should do a Historathon 2023 review and that kind of thing. But apparently there's another reading event kind of thing, like When in Rome. I've seen a couple people like posting about it and stuff, so I've got to check that one out, because if it's like Roman history, I'll be like all set and whatnot. But let's just go ahead and get started. So the first one here is The Soviet Century, Archaeology of a Lost World by Karl Strogel. This is just a massive tome here. I think it's like 900 some pages. I don't know anything. I want to say I don't know anything. I've never read anything about the USSR. You know, just 20th century Russia is just like not my thing. I read like medieval Russian histories and stuff. But what interested me when I'll say Princeton University Press did send me this book, asking me to review it, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I saw it and I was like, but basically, it is all about kind of like real life living, like kind of like, you know, just the day-to-day of like a lot of normal people, and kind of like, I guess, like kind of like a nice social history. So I think I'll probably be okay if I can just muster the courage here to just start it. But like, here's like a chapter all on about like, I don't want to say interior decoration, but you know, when you're inside like a business or your house or whatever, like what kinds of things are you seeing, stuff like that. There's one, you know, like sports in the Soviet Union, all kinds of different stuff. But it is, like I said, 900 giant pages. There are some photographs throughout the book. It's actually pretty well regarded from like the reviews that I was able to gather online. And like I said, I just don't know that much about Soviet history and stuff. Besides, you know, obviously like kind of like the World War II and kind of Cold War stuff that always kind of like pops up just in like any kind of history, I guess, of the 20th century. But it definitely is, that one is definitely intimidating. Next up we have I was gonna do Colonel Roosevelt here to finish off my Theodore Roosevelt trilogy, which is really great by Edmund Morris. I've read the first two, The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt and Theodore Rex. Unfortunately, this one is only like 740 pages, 755, 757. And this is like, including like the index and glossary and all that kind of stuff. 766, it looks like. So it wasn't quite there. I think, in the spirit of the read, it probably would count. Otherwise, I think it would count, but that might be like my pick I go to if I just, like I said, I can't summon the courage to get through the other ones. However, there was a different Theodore Roosevelt book that I happen to have here that is officially, I think, 850 pages, if I remember. Oh no, it's just under 900. It's like 890 something, 897. The Bully Pulpit, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and the Golden Age of Journalism by Doris Goodwin. This won the Pulitzer Prize, so that like automatically bumped me up a notch on like when I picked it up many years ago. I have a few Theodore Roosevelt books over here. Theodore Roosevelt, like World War One, that kind of era is like one of the only history eras I read that is like post-Renaissance. So yeah, that's why I happen to have it. I don't know much about his successor, William Howard Taft, other than Roosevelt kind of molded him to be sort of like his protege, and it kind of went good for a little bit, but by the time his re-election campaign came up, like Roosevelt and him like disagreed on like a ton of stuff, and that's why Roosevelt did like the Bull Moose Party and split the ticket and everything, and that's why like Woodrow Wilson became president and stuff. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know a lot about Taft. I know quite a bit about Roosevelt just from reading his like other biographies and stuff. But I think the lens that this book kind of goes through is like the journaling aspect. And this was like the era of muckraking and stuff. And everyone was, I think, was just basically slandering everyone and that kind of stuff in like the media and the press and everything. But like I said, it is kind of during like that kind of golden age of the real progressive era and stuff. So I think, like I said, I do like reading about Theodore Roosevelt and stuff, so I think it would be a good one. And Doris Goodwin is pretty well known for like her American and presidential histories on like other topics and everything. And like I said, it did win the Pulitzer Prize, so it's gotta be like pretty decent there. So this is kind of like a heavy favorite for the selection as well. If I was just like a massive speed reader, like I've seen some of you guys reading like just like 30 books in a month and stuff, I could probably just pick all 3 or 4 of them and just get on with it, but that's just not happening. Before we move on to the last selection here, I just want to plug my Etsy shop. It's starting to, I've seen a couple little upticks since the start of the channel up again, where everyone's like, or people are like liking and favoriting the shop, and that definitely helps and everything. So just like, want to do a plug if you want to support the channel. It's definitely the best way to do it. I'm going to be doing more stuff. I got like nature things, animals, and blah 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 and stuff coming up. I love how I grabbed like a scrap one, like one of my test ones here. But anyways, I'm going to be putting stuff like this up and stuff too, Anyways, moving on with the video. My last selection here is Richard Evans's The Pursuit of Power, Europe 1815 to 1914, obviously by Richard Evans. This is part of the biography of Europe. I believe it's called, it's like some series by Penguin, by the Penguin History of Europe. And this one is, I think, just over 800. Let's see, I think it's 818. It looks like, yep, 819. I keep saying how I don't read anything post like Renaissance. I am kind of interested in the long 19th century, which is kind of like the era between like Napoleon and World War One, which is exactly like what this book is about. And this is sort of like the formation of a lot of like European states, like Germany under like Otto von Bismarck is kind of like melded together. Italy kind of becomes its own country and is like melded together during this time as well. But since I do read a lot on like World War One, or I used to, I haven't read in a little while, but I've done videos on like World War One and stuff as well. But I'm really interested in the concept of like the doomsday clock, which is like the years leading up to World War One. How all these countries made all these giant plans and everything, and once it gets set into motion, like it's wound up and everything, once you actually like let it go, you can't really stop it and everything, and that's kind of how like World War One. That's like a big factor in kind of the outbreak there. Why it was pretty cataclysmic there. I don't know why I said there like 10,000 times. But anyways, it is probably an era I should read more about, just to kind of get more context on like the 1800s. Like I said, I've read like a little bit here and there, but nothing really dedicated on it per se. Um, and like I said, I think it'll help me with my understanding of World War I as well. So there you have it. Those are 3 selections for the March of the Mammoths readathon here of 800-page titles. Like I said, I don't have too many here. But if you want me to do a video on recommendations on other books that I have read in the past that have been, 800 pages or more or whatever, and just kind of like other books that I have that maybe why I didn't like select them and whatnot, leave a comment down below as you like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And if there's enough interest, I'll cobble together a video and just like all my like ultra massive books and why they were good or why they weren't good or why I might not read them ever. But anyways, let me know if you are participating as well in March of the Mammoths, and I'd be glad to see what you guys are reading as well in March. Anyways, even if you're reading an 800-page book or a 200-page book, always remember, read victorious.